Microphone check. Y'all doing all right? Of course you are. You lovely people, of course you're doing all right. Practice 1 has just adjourned out here, Oxnard, California. That's what Jerry Jones would call it, Oxnard, California. A lot of little notes today. I'm a give you a little bit, just a handful here and there, and then at some point we'll go live later on today. At some point, me and Brian will get together. He'll share his notes. I'll share mine or whatnot. But he's doing radio right now, so it'll probably be a little bit later. So it might be around the same time we normally do everything, but I did just want to tap in with y'all for the daily update. If you haven't, I am on the break. Today's episode of the break. We'll be doing that today and Thursday. Okay, so y'all be sure to tap in on those. This ain't none of my media shit. Don't worry about it. But this is what we got on tap for the day, just notes-wise, or just general overview. Let me just say this. I really wanted to focus on O-line and D-line today. I think it'll be malproductive if everybody just ran to the same spot, recorded the same videos, and talked about the same talking points. If you tried to cover everything or cover whatever everybody else was covering, you'd be bound to miss something, you know what I mean? So with all due respect, I'm not going to be covering a whole bunch of Marquise Bell or whatever. I'm gonna be O-line, D-line. But when I do see things in team or whatever, I will be making my comments on it. All right. So appreciate y'all for tapping in. If you want to see any of the videos that I've put out, you can go to my Twitter machine. The Twitter machine is always active. All right. Over there at Voch Lombardi. Now, we'll start on offense or whatever, right? Just walking around, being able to get a look at the individual stuff. Nick Harris in the building. Y'all be sure to follow Nick Harris and tap in what he's doing on the socials there, because he's doing some fantastic work also. But being able to walk around and see the individual drills, they wasn't lying. There was an emphasis on energy and running your ass all the way around. It was very, very apparent. And what I said on socials is that there's no way you could do this with 90-year-old coaches. Everybody's stretching, and you just see coaches running the field and turning around. You see them shaking hands with the players, hyping them up, and all this. And it's something that I haven't seen from the Cowboys, because we used to these 90-year-old coaches. But I do think that it paid off on the field, because when it was time for team drills, the energy was still up. The music was blaring. I think I saw Mickey Spagnola reciting some NBA YoungBoy raps. You gonna have to tap in yourself and make sure. But the energy carried over into the day. We saw a couple of turnovers on the defense on the back end. I think Marshawn Nealon caught an interception over there on Dak Prescott. That's important. And we just saw batted passes. We saw forced fumbles, a couple forced fumbles. We got one on GP and another one on some tight end, which I don't know exactly who he is right now, number 8. Let me pull out my handy dandy media roster sheet, and I'll let you know who the hell 85 is. Hold on. 85 is Princeton Fant. Princeton Fant had a little fumble earlier, so definitely got to clean that up. But offensive line stuff, nothing jumped out too bad at the offensive line. That's a good thing. As long as nothing's looking terribly horrible, then there's no notes we can take for the offensive line. I will say, Tyler Guyton, I'm being honest with y'all, Tyler Guyton, per competition that he was up against, looked really well today. What I mean by that, Tyler Guyton had a fantastic day, but Michael wasn't around. Okay, now if Michael was around, ain't no telling what that day would have looked like for Tyler Guyton. But Tyler went against the guys that he went up against. He did fine against those guys, whether it be Peyton Turner. I think he got a little bit of work versus Dante. Dante was mostly on Terrence Steele's side. I'm gonna keep eyes on that throughout the week. Most of these D linemen were moving all over the place, so that's another little tool, note that I'm going to tap in with later. I want to say Donovan Ezeraku was also a left side guy for the most part, but everybody that Tyler Guyton ran into, I think Tyler Guyton was solid for the most part. Even if you look down into not the one-on-one drills, but the individual drills, right? You'll just see Tyler working his hands, working his leverage, his posture, things like that. Stuff that Duke Manyweather talked about a month ago, stuff Voch Lombardi talked about a year ago. So he was working on those things, and he did look solid at those things. In general, we're still waiting on pads to come on. Nothing particularly crazy to talk about. What I can talk about is offensive like just these small things that I noticed from the offense, small little tidbits that I noticed from the offense. You know, how there is a tempo set, right? Like sometimes you could be on a tempo set. Like we'll be going at a regular speed, but then other times we may turn the tempo up and go fast at a high tempo, right? What I noticed is there were certain plays where the Cowboys were high tempo. Some plays the Cowboys are kind of walk out, kicking it, and we'll look around and see what's going on, and then we'll run the play. Other plays we're on the field fast, we're on the line of scrimmage fast, and then we're trying to make things happen. I wonder if they're using that to set up a misdirection or something, or to reposition some defender or something like that. I'm gonna figure it out. The longer I'm here, the more I'm going to figure out what those plays are exactly. I mean, I hope it ain't nothing that could stop them from doing it. I'm just a YouTuber, but I'm sure other teams will see it. But some plays, like I said, pum on the ball. Other times they're sprinting on the football, and I think that matters. So we're definitely going to keep an eye on that moving forward. I just thought it was a cool little tempo. You know, sometimes the offense will like lull itself to sleep. If you watch Mike McCarthy's offense last year, it'll just fall into a lull sometimes. Wasn't a whole bunch of lulling with this, and it could be just something to keep the defense on his toes also. Because if the defense want to do a whole bunch of talking and communicating and lining up, then perfect. Because what happened is while there were many times the defense was like standing up, and the offense ran their ass on the field and ran the next play. So that could be something just to keep our eyes on. One thing that made me cry, that made me shed actual tears, that I was super excited about, was we saw shifts in motion 95% of the time. Damn near every play there was some sort of shifts and motions, and that's what just warms my heart. Because with the offense last year, they'll say there will be more shifts and motions, and that'll be to their own standard. Like if you go from 10% shifts and motions to 20% shifts and motions, of course you did more shifts and motions, and we'll give last year's administration credit for that. I'm talking about there was 90% shifts and motions. What I mean by shift, we'll line up, and two tight ends will run from one side of the field to the other side of the field, and the wide receivers will go over there. Then somebody else will go in motion and get on that side of the field, and then somebody else will come back and go, you know what I mean? Like it seemed like it was integrated into the offense, and I couldn't help but notice, like when it first started happening, I was like, well, damn, Turpin got two handoffs back to back. It's just some other notes you need to just kind of like keep your eyes on when we're like watching this stuff. But infrastructure-wise of the offense, I think that's important. Let me just scratch my face, my Cowboy Media thing, my Cowboy Media stuff. I think that's important to just keep eyes on. The offense doing the easy stuff better, or just doing anything that they can to make this offense better outside of the plays. Y'all know how critical I've been of like running upfield and turning around, but it seems like motion getting involved, tempo getting involved, shifts getting involved, and not just getting involved, but getting involved at a high pace. I think that's important there. Pickens and Lamb was going crazy. They couldn't be covered all day. It is what it is, man. We all knew how Lamb and GP was gonna get busy, so I ain't got to talk about that too much. The more that we ramp this thing up during the practices, I'll keep eyes on that, and I'll be letting y'all know what's going on. Kenneth Murray and Sanborn were the first linebackers out there. Luafau was rotating at the Sam. You remember we was asking Luafau, like, where is he gonna line up? He's lining up at the Sam right now, but he ain't always on the field. Sanborn and Kenny Murray are the first ones out there. And one last point, talking about the one-tech position, right? You guys be asking, how's one tech kind of going to pan out? How's it going to work? So far, how one tech is looking right now is that they're just kind of throwing bodies at one tech. So Mozzie will be at one tech sometimes, but then Mozzie go play in B gap. Mozzie's not humongous. Like Mozzie's not back to 330. Mozzie's still in like a slimmer type. Chris Beam in the house. Mozzie's in a slimmer frame right now. Not small, but he's not 330, 340 or whatnot, right? So Mozzie's not full-time one tech. If Osa's out there at 3, then yes, Mozzie will be at one tech, but there were many times I saw Osa moving around because Solomon Thomas would be out there at one tech. Osa would be at 3, Solomon Thomas would be at 1. With some of the second and third groups, I've seen Perrion Winfrey. I got one of those videos on my Twitter as well. Perrion Winfrey will be lined up at one tech. And Perrion, like, 308. Solomon Thomas ain't a heavy guy neither. But Winfrey will be at 1 tech sometimes, right? They'll move Mozzie around sometimes at 1, sometimes at 3. And Jay Towie is definitely a large human in general. So I think they're not going to. They might address it, I don't know, but I don't think that they. I don't want to say that. I don't want to come out and say that maybe they're not XYZ and at 1 tech or whatever, but it just seems like as of now, Jay Towie is definitely playing some 1 tech. Mozzie's playing 1 tech sometimes, and besides that, they're throwing bodies at 1 tech. So we'll see how that goes the more camp develops. All right, we're going to end that here. You know what I mean? I'll have a little bit more later on with Brian Broadus. I'll take my talking points and combine them with his for a splendid episode of Doing All Right. He's over there doing radio right now, so y'all be sure to go listen to him doing radio or listen to us earlier on the break. All right. And yeah, we'll be doing this later. I might go live. I don't know. We'll see. But this is what y'all got right now. If you got any questions about what happened at camp, you can put them down in the comments, and I'll read them and see if I remember enough to answer your question. I don't know. We'll see. But put them down in there, and I'll be reading them. All right. I love y'all. 2 pieces. Y'all hold down for the dose. Peace. Until next time. All right. I'll be back tomorrow. Salute.